Close your eyes, Scorpio. Just for a moment, breathe with me. Can you feel it? That sharp edge inside your chest. That pressure building behind your eyes like a dam about to burst. The heaviness in your soul that you can't explain to anyone, not even the ones who claim to know you best. This pain, it isn't ordinary. It's not the ache of a bad day or a broken plan. No, this pain feels sacred. It feels like it's tied to something much bigger than you, and that's because it is. What you're feeling now is not the end. It is the contraction before a spiritual birth, a divine signal that something far greater is on its way. But for it to enter your life, the universe has no choice but to break apart everything that can't come with you into the next chapter. Scorpio, I'm not here to comfort you with soft lies. I'm here to tell you the soul-level truth. This pain you're in, it's real, it's deep, but it is purposeful. It is a divine initiation. Right now, God is preparing you, not punishing you, not forsaking you, preparing you for something you cannot even fully imagine yet. And the truth is, most people wouldn't survive what you're enduring, but you're not most people. You are Scorpio, the phoenix of the zodiac, the one who walks through death, not just physical death, but ego death, soul death, identity death, and emerges more powerful, more radiant, and more real. So, if you're here still listening, still breathing, it means you're being chosen. Chosen to walk through the fire, chosen to break so that you can be remade. This isn't a message for the faint of heart. This is a message for the warrior soul, for the one who has loved too deeply, lost too violently, and is still somehow standing, even if barely. And if you've ever whispered in the middle of the night, "God, why is this happening to me?" then this video was created for you. Because by the end of this journey, you won't be asking, "Why me?" You'll be whispering, "Thank you," not because the pain disappears, but because you'll finally understand what it was preparing you for. So, Scorpio, before we begin, I invite you to write in the comments, "I am ready for something greater." Let the universe know. Let your soul declare it. Because today, you begin your return. Now take a deep breath. Let's begin. Part 1. When the world falls apart, it's the soul that awakens first. Scorpio. Some weeks don't announce themselves with chaos. They sneak in quietly like a shadow crossing the floor at twilight. You wake up expecting a normal day, coffee emails, conversations, plans. And then something cracks. Something so small that others would never notice. A missed text, a broken promise, a glance from someone you trust that suddenly feels hollow, almost distant. To the outside world, it's trivial, but to you, to a Scorpio whose inner world is a living, breathing organism of emotion and energy, it's the tremor before the earthquake. That's how it begins, doesn't it? Not with a shout, but a whisper that echoes louder than any scream. This is what's happening to you now, isn't it? You can feel it, the unraveling, and it's terrifying. Because you, Scorpio, are the architect of control. You've built your life like a fortress, carefully, precisely layer by emotional layer, not to keep others out, but to keep your soul safe inside. But this week, this moment, the universe is calling your soul to the surface, and it's not asking for permission. You're not losing your mind, you're waking up. And here's a truth many will never understand. When the outer world collapses, it is not destruction, it is invitation. An invitation for the inner self to rise. You see, Scorpio doesn't just experience emotions, you become them. Joy isn't just a smile, it's electricity in your veins. Loss isn't just sadness, it's spiritual decapitation. You don't float on the surface like others, you dive. And now that depth is calling you back because you've been living too long above your own waters. The universe is not asking you to be okay right now, it's asking you to be honest. So I ask you, Scorpio, what is falling apart in your life right now? Is it a relationship that no longer meets your soul? Is it a career that drains you dry no matter how hard you try? Is it an identity you've outgrown, one that no longer fits your spirit? It may feel like you're crumbling, but the deeper truth is, you're shedding. You are not losing your power. You're being stripped of everything that dimmed it. What if the very thing falling apart right now is the thing that's been blocking your miracle? Let that sink in. Because Scorpio, your soul does not fear death. It fears stagnation. It fears living a lie. It fears becoming someone that pleases others but betrays itself. This pain, this collapse, it is not a curse. It is the holy demolition required to break you out of the cage you mistook for safety. It's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to not know what comes next. Because right now you don't need clarity, you need courage. Courage to let go. Courage to not fix what's breaking. Courage to stand still while your ego begs for action. Remember this, Scorpio. What you're feeling is not weakness, it is sacred sensitivity. And only those brave enough to feel so deeply are chosen to rise this high. Let this breaking break you open. Let it undo the lies you told yourself to survive. Let it peel back the mask, not for others, but for you. And from that exposed, raw place, the next version of your life, the real one, will emerge. Life lesson. Part 1. Sometimes the most sacred beginnings come disguised as unbearable endings. When your world starts falling apart, don't rush to rebuild it, wait. Because what's collapsing might not be your life. It might be your limits. Pain is not always a warning. For Scorpio, it is often a wake-up call. A divine signal that the soul is ready for something truer, deeper, and infinitely more powerful than what you thought you had to settle for. Let the fall happen, because the ground you land on may be your soul's truest foundation. Part 2. The sacred storm isn't sent to destroy you. It's sent to free you, Scorpio. When the storm comes, most people run. They hide, they panic, they pray for shelter. But you've always been different. You don't run from storms, you listen to them. Because something deep within you recognizes this truth. The storm is not your enemy. It's your deliverance. This week, or maybe even right now, you might feel like everything you depended on is coming undone. Plans are unraveling. Relationships are shifting. Even your own emotions feel foreign, like they belong to someone else. And it's terrifying, isn't it? Because you're not a sign that easily gives up control. Scorpio thrives on structure, protection, power. When that power starts to slip, when the dam you've carefully built begins to crack, it feels like drowning. But what if this storm isn't here to drown you? What if it's here to wash away everything that has kept you small? Let that question sit with you. What if the chaos isn't chaos, but cosmic order disguised in mess? What if God isn't punishing you, but finally saying, you're ready? You see, Scorpio, for too long, you've mistaken survival for living. You've called numbness strength. You've built fortresses around your heart, not because you're cold, but because you've been burned too many times. And now, the universe is done waiting for you to give yourself permission to be free. It's doing what you couldn't. It's sending the storm to tear down the cage. Not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Think back for a moment. Have you ever watched a storm from inside a window, the wind shaking everything, the sky howling, and yet there's a strange calm inside you? That's what your soul is doing now. It knows something your mind has forgotten. You were never meant to live in a cage, even if you built it yourself. This storm, this breaking apart, it's the holy thunder that comes before the rebirth. The more you resist it, the more it hurts. The more you surrender, the more it frees. Yes, the storm is sacred, because only the sacred can break you open in such a way that you'll never go back to your smaller self again. Life lesson, part 2. When a storm enters your life, it's easy to see it as destruction, but for Scorpio, storms are deliverance disguised as disaster. Don't waste your energy trying to rebuild what the universe is tearing down. Instead, ask, what part of me is finally being released? Your soul isn't being tested, it's being trusted. trusted to rise without the mask, trusted to step forward without the weight. Because true freedom is not the absence of chaos, it's the courage to walk through it and never look back. Part 3. The truth you buried is the key to your breakthrough. Scorpio, let's speak honestly now. You are the keeper of secrets. Not just the secrets others tell you in confidence, but the ones you whisper to yourself in the dark when no one is watching. The ones you lock away in the deepest vault of your heart. And you've gotten so good at hiding them, you've almost convinced yourself they're gone. But here's the thing about buried truth. It doesn't disappear. It waits. It waits for the right moment. It waits for the right storm. It waits for you to finally be strong enough to look it in the eye and say, I'm ready now. This is that moment. You may feel like you're falling apart, but what's actually happening is this. Your soul is making room. Room for the truth to rise. Not the truth others want from you. Not the version of truth that feels safe or polite, but the raw, honest, unfiltered truth of who you are and what you want, even if it scares you. Scorpio, you've always been perceptive. You see through people. You know when something's off. You read between the words, the body language, the energy. But because of that, you've also learned to suppress your own pain to keep peace. You've carried the emotions of others like they were your own and buried your truth under their comfort. That ends now. This week, something may happen. A slip of the tongue, a confession, a moment of silence that says everything, and it will trigger something deep inside you. Not anger, not fear, but a quiet, ancient knowing, I've always known this. I just didn't want to face it. Maybe it's a dream you gave up on. Maybe it's a relationship you've outgrown. Maybe it's the fact that you're not okay and haven't been for a long time. Whatever it is, it's not here to shame you. It's here to liberate you. Because Scorpio, as long as you hide your truth, you stay imprisoned by your own silence. And the irony is, the truth you fear will destroy everything you've built is actually the key to the freedom you've been craving. You weren't born to live half-truths. You weren't born to wear masks. You were born to transform. And transformation always starts with truth. So tell me, Scorpio, what truth have you been afraid to say out loud? That you're tired of holding everything together, that you never truly forgave them, that you want more, deserve more, and you're no longer willing to apologize for it. Good. Say it. Write it. Feel it. Because in that moment when truth breaks the silence, the breakthrough begins. Not the kind of breakthrough that looks good on social media, the kind that rewires your spirit, the kind that cracks you open and shows you how much life was waiting on the other side of your silence. This is your moment. Let the truth rise. Let it roar. Let it set you free. Life lesson. Part 3. The truth doesn't come to destroy your life, it comes to awaken it. When you silence your truth to keep others comfortable, you don't protect peace, you abandon yourself. And the soul can only stay silent for so long before it begins to fight back. Let this be the week you stop pretending, not to be cruel, not to cause chaos, but to finally let your life align with the person you really are. Because nothing in this world is more magnetic, more powerful, or more divine than a Scorpio living in their truth. Part 4. When betrayal strikes, it's the soul's final test before rebirth. Scorpio, betrayal does something to you that no other wound can. It doesn't just hurt, it fractures your timeline. There's the you before the betrayal, and the you after it. But the real pain isn't in losing the person, it's in losing who you were when you trusted them. You see, you don't love lightly. When a Scorpio loves, whether it's romantic, platonic, or spiritual, it's a full-body, full-soul commitment. You offer your loyalty like a sacred vow, and that's what makes betrayal feel like a spiritual death. The person you opened your soul to, the one you whispered secrets to under moonlight, turns cold, distant, or worse, dishonest. And suddenly your inner world collapses. You don't explode. No, that's not your way. Instead, you go silent. You go inward, and your brilliant mind begins the autopsy. What did I miss? What did I do wrong? Was any of it real? This is the Scorpio curse. You don't just question them, you start questioning yourself. But listen to me now with everything inside you. The betrayal was not your fault. The depth of your love is not a weakness. Your capacity to trust is not foolishness. It is sacred power. Scorpio. Sometimes the universe doesn't gently separate you from someone. Sometimes it uses betrayal like a surgeon's knife, swift, unforgiving, precise, because it's the only way to remove what's been poisoning your soul. You were not meant to stay in places where your spirit is not honored, and the betrayal, as excruciating as it is, becomes the door out. But here's where the true test begins. Will you close off your heart completely? Will you let the betrayal define your worth? Or will you rise from it wiser, more discerning, but still open to truth, to love, to real connection? Because the greatest revenge, Scorpio, is not silence, it's rebirth. When you walk away not as someone bitter, but as someone reborn, someone who knows their value so deeply that no one can bargain with it again. And yes, it will take time. You'll feel anger, you'll feel grief, you'll miss the version of you who still believed in them. But in time, you'll also feel something else. Lightness, relief, clarity. You'll realize that the person you loved was not aligned with your future, that the energy they brought was no longer compatible with where your soul was headed, and most of all, that you didn't lose them. They lost you. Life lesson. Part 4. Betrayal is not always the breaking of a bond. Sometimes it's the universe breaking you out of bondage. When someone shows you their true face, don't mourn the mask, honor the lesson. Let it carve into your soul, not as a scar, but as a standard. Your love is a kingdom. Not everyone deserves the key. And just because someone failed to honor your heart does not mean you stop offering it. It means you elevate who you offer it to. Because your trust is sacred, and the one who truly sees you will never ask you to doubt it. Part 5. The moment you forgive yourself, everything changes. Scorpio, after betrayal, after the pain, after the truth has risen and the storm has passed, there is one moment more terrifying than all the rest. It's not when they hurt you. It's not when everything fell apart. It's when you look in the mirror and ask yourself, why did I let this happen? This is the part they don't talk about, the part no one sees. Because after the heartbreak fades, what remains is the quiet war you fight with yourself. You replay the moments. You remember the red flags. You revisit the nights you knew something was wrong but stayed anyway. And then, without even realizing it, you put yourself on trial. Not them, you. How did I miss it? Why did I trust them? Why didn't I leave sooner? This is the Scorpio mind, sharp, surgical, self-aware, but also brutal when turned inward. You don't just hold others to high standards, you hold yourself to impossible ones. But here's the truth, no one taught you, Scorpio. You don't heal by punishing yourself, you heal by forgiving yourself. Yes, you saw the good in someone who couldn't hold it. Yes, you gave your heart without a backup plan. Yes, you stayed longer than your intuition wanted you to. But that doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. That makes you real. And most importantly, it makes you brave. Because loving with your whole heart in a world that constantly tells you to guard it is an act of defiance, an act of faith. You were not naive, you were hopeful. You believed. And that belief, even if it led to pain, is still something holy. Scorpio, the moment you choose to forgive yourself is the moment everything begins to shift. Your posture changes, your energy shifts, the weight begins to lift. Because forgiveness is not about forgetting what happened. It's about remembering who you were before the pain convinced you that you weren't enough. You were always enough. You still are. So here is your invitation today, not from me, but from the universe itself. Lay down the guilt. Lay down the self-blame. Lay down the shame. You've punished yourself long enough. It's time to come home to yourself with gentleness, with grace, with full, open-hearted self-forgiveness. Life lesson, part 5. Forgiving yourself is not weakness, it's the ultimate form of strength. You do not have to punish yourself to prove you've grown. You do not have to carry shame to carry wisdom. You are not defined by the moments you lost your way. You are defined by how you choose to walk forward from here. So release the burden, reclaim your worth, and remember this: the most powerful apology you'll ever give is the one you whisper to your own soul and say, "I'm sorry I doubted you. I will never abandon you again." Part 6. This is not the end. It's your initiation into power. Scorpio, there comes a moment when the story you've been living starts to feel too small. Not wrong necessarily, just outdated. Like wearing clothes that used to fit but now suffocate your skin. You look around and realize this isn't your life anymore. This is your survival. The version of you that built this world, this relationship, this identity, this dream, did the best they could. But that version of you is being called to evolve. Not gently, not quietly, but through fire. And the fire, it's not punishment, it's the initiation. Scorpio, you were never meant to stay still. You were meant to rise, to transform, to shed your skin again and again until only truth remains. That's why you felt restless, why things that once felt meaningful now feel hollow, why relationships you once clung to now feel foreign. It's not because you're broken, it's because your soul is too big for the life you've outgrown. This isn't the end, this is your soul remembering who it really is. And yes, it hurts. Transformation always does. There is no awakening without a death of who you thought you had to be. But what if that grief isn't something to avoid? What if it's sacred? Because every time you let a false identity fall away, you get closer to the raw, powerful, undeniable truth of who you've always been beneath it. The world calls it breakdown. Scorpio calls it becoming. You're not here to live a quiet life that pleases others. You're here to live a true life that sets you on fire with purpose. And everything you've lost, every betrayal, every tear, every collapse, has been clearing the path for that purpose to emerge. This is the price of power. To walk through the fire not once, but every time life calls you to rise higher. And each time you come back with new eyes, new strength, and a new name. You don't return as who you were. You return as who you were always meant to be. Life lesson, part 6. This isn't the end, it's the sacred death before your greatest rebirth. True power doesn't come from controlling the outcome. It comes from trusting the process of becoming. You weren't meant to stay the same. You were born to evolve, to transform, and to carry the wisdom of every version you've ever been. So don't mourn the loss of who you were. Honor them, and then step forward into the power of who you are now. Because this is your becoming. Part 7. What rises after you break is more beautiful than before. Scorpio, there's a beauty that only lives in what has been broken. Not the kind of polished beauty the world celebrates, but a deeper, quieter radiance that only emerges after the soul has been shattered and rebuilt. And no sign understands this more intimately than you. You see, most people fear the breaking. But you've lived through it not once, but many times. And each time the world declared it your ending. But you knew better. You knew it was the beginning. Because Scorpio doesn't break and stay broken. Scorpio breaks and becomes divine architecture. A temple of wisdom, resilience, and raw truth. And now, after everything you've endured, the betrayal, the unraveling, the silence, the fire, something new is rising. It doesn't feel like fireworks, it feels like stillness, like peace you didn't think was possible, like standing in your own skin and realizing this is mine, I belong here, I survived, and now I live. You may not even recognize yourself anymore, and that's a good thing, because the person you were before was built to protect you, But the person you're becoming, they are built to set you free. This version of you doesn't shrink to fit in. They don't explain their depth. They don't apologize for loving too much, feeling too deeply, or walking away when a soul contract has expired. This version of you doesn't chase validation. They embody self-respect. They don't beg to be understood. They speak with clarity, and whoever stays, stays. This version of you knows something that the old you couldn't quite grasp. That brokenness is not the opposite of wholeness, it's the path to it. You are not returning to who you used to be. You are arriving fully in who you truly are. And everything that was lost, it was never meant to come with you. So look around. The rubble, the ashes, the scars, they are your proof. You did not just survive, you transformed. You are no longer the storm. You are the sky it passed through. Life lesson, part 7. True beauty doesn't come from perfection. It comes from wholeness. And wholeness is not the absence of pain. It's the integration of every scar, every tear, every moment you chose to rise again. You don't become powerful by avoiding the break. You become powerful by walking through it and emerging with light in your eyes and fire in your heart. Because what rises after Scorpio breaks isn't a weaker version. It's a wiser, freer, more unstoppable soul. Part 8. The ones who stay are the ones who see the real you. Scorpio, after the fire, after the flood, after the silence, what remains is clarity. Clarity about who truly sees you. Clarity about who never did. Clarity about the energy that deserves a seat at your table and what needs to be left at the door forever. Because here's what no one tells you: when you rise in your truth, your circle gets smaller. And it's not a punishment, it's a refinement. You no longer have the energy to entertain the superficial. You no longer crave being liked by everyone. You crave being seen by the few who can truly hold you. And those who stay after your breaking, the ones who didn't run from your tears, who didn't flinch when you exposed the truth, who didn't love only the parts of you that were easy, those are the ones sent by the universe. You don't need a crowd, you need connection. Because real connection, Scorpio doesn't fear your depth. It swims in it. It honors your mystery. It doesn't ask you to be lighter, quieter, smaller. It says, I see your shadows and I'm still here. That kind of connection, it's rare, but it's real. And now you have the discernment to recognize it. You no longer fall for potential. You wait for presence. You no longer settle for attention. You align with energy. You understand now that not everyone who comes close is meant to stay. Some are lessons. Some are echoes of your old self. And a very few, the chosen few, are mirrors of your soul. They don't complete you, they reflect you. And in their presence, you don't perform. You relax. You return. Scorpio love after rebirth isn't louder, it's truer. It's not about fantasy, it's about resonance. You now love not because you're lonely, but because you're whole. You now invite in others not to fix you, but to grow with you. And that shift changes everything. So if someone has stayed, if someone sees you in your wholeness, your mess, your glory, hold space for them. Not because you need them, but because they see the soul behind the strength. And if no one has stayed yet, do not worry, because now you are sending out a new frequency, and the ones who are meant for you will hear it. They will come, not to rescue you, but to walk beside you. And when they do, you'll know. Life lesson, part 8. When you rise in your truth, the ones who stay are the ones meant to rise with you. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You only need to be seen fully by a few. True connection doesn't demand perfection. It honors presence. And the people who are meant for you will never fear your depth. They will find themselves in it. Let go of those who only loved the mask and make space for those who cherish the soul behind it, because your depth isn't a burden. It's a blessing, but only for those brave enough to dive in. Part 9. Your pain was the portal now. Step into your power. Scorpio, take a breath. Feel that it's not fear anymore, it's space. Space that was once occupied by pain, by stories that no longer serve you, by identities that no longer fit. Now in that space you stand, not the same, not untouched, but transformed. Everything you've walked through, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the confusion, the silence, was not meaningless. It was the path, the sacred detour, the divine design. Your pain wasn't a punishment, it was a portal, a breaking that let the truth pour in, a fire that burned away who you were never meant to be, a storm that returned you to your original power. And now there is no going back. You've seen too much, felt too much, grown too much. You can't unbecome what this journey has made you. The world around you may look the same, but you are not the same. You no longer ask for permission. You no longer beg to be chosen. You no longer shrink for comfort or silence your intuition for peace. You walk differently now, anchored in your soul. Because you didn't just heal, you integrated. You didn't just survive, you became. This is the moment when the phoenix doesn't just rise, it remembers its wings and takes flight, not to escape, but to soar. Scorpio, this is your power, not the power to control, not the power to avoid pain, but the power to rise from it with grace, wisdom, and unstoppable clarity. You now understand that life was never trying to break you. It was trying to reveal you, and it has. So now the only question left is, what will you do with this power? Will you speak the truth you used to hide? Will you protect your energy like the sacred temple it is? Will you walk away from what no longer serves and walk toward what your soul has been calling for? Because now, you are ready. And the universe, it's been waiting for this version of you. Life lesson, part 9. Pain was never your enemy. It was your invitation to stop performing, to start becoming. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to transform. And everything that has burned was never your identity. It was your cocoon. Now that you've broken free, the world will feel different. Not because it changed, but because you did. Step into that difference. Own your power, and never ever return to the smaller version of you that pain tried to contain. Because now you know the truth. You are the fire. You are the phoenix. And you were born to rise again and again and again. Scorpio, if you're still here, still listening, still breathing through every word of this message, then know this. You were not just meant to hear these truths, you were meant to embody them. This wasn't a story. This was a mirror, a reflection of the journey you've walked or are walking right now. Because what you've just experienced is not just a video, it's a rite of passage, a reclamation, a remembering. You are no longer waiting to be saved. You are stepping into the power that was always inside you. And no, this won't make life perfect, but it will make you unshakable. The kind of Scorpio who no longer fears endings because you know that every ending is just a sacred beginning. The kind of Scorpio who loves with depth, speaks with honesty, and stands with integrity even when it's hard. The kind who knows that pain is not the opposite of purpose, it is its prelude. So take a breath, look back at everything you've endured, and whisper to yourself, I made it through. I'm not broken, I'm reborn. Now, Scorpio, if this message resonated with your soul, if it stirred something ancient inside you, let your voice be heard. Leave a comment below. Tell the universe you're ready. Write, I accept my past, I own my truth, and I rise. Your words are not just words, they're declarations, they're energy. They are your offering to the divine and your alignment with what's next. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, The Path to Buddha Wisdom. Because this is more than a channel. This is a sanctuary for Scorpio souls, those who feel deeply, love fiercely, and rise eternally. Together we walk through the fire. Together we rise. Thank you for being here. You're not alone anymore. We'll see you in the next sacred message.